Recording from the original Wahlburgers location in Hingham, Massachusetts on February 14, 2018. Welcome back to Bob Ryan's Boston Podcast. I want to go back up to let's go back home for a minute, because there's somebody that you knew when, if boy, this, and it really is, I know that you probably no other writer knew him when and better than you did at the time, and Rick Pitino. Tell us about the 25-year-old head coach of the Boston University Terriers that you knew.
Oh, he was great, and I've been at his 40th birthday, his 50th birthday, his 60th. He lives right down the road from me. I live in Miami. He lives about a mile. It was great to cover him as a beat, because we both could try things. Like he always says how that's when he would try the full court press, and we would count the people in the stands, Walter Brown Arena. Nobody went. I mean, we'd be there 48, 49. No, Rick, that guy went out to get popcorn. Still 48. Really, nobody went. But it was really, you could tell he had it. You know, he was a student of the game. He was the first when he got to Providence. Remember, he would employ the three-point shot.
Oh, yeah.
He really... He knew the game. He loved the game. He knew he had a pipeline. Like, remember, he had that guy, Leo Papil, way before anybody had heard of Leo Papil.
Leo's still with us.
Is he still with us?
Oh, he's still running the Boston, BABC. He's still the king of AAU. He's no longer on the Celtics payroll. He was for years. Rick, of course, brought him in as a scout. But Leo's still with us, yeah. But you're right.
Well, I feel in that whole... this whole disruption of college basketball, I sort of feel like Rick's the only guy. That's the only guy they got. So, they sort of quit after him.
Well, it's interesting because Bruce Pearl is still surviving at the moment with a team that's in the top 5 or 6. Amazing. Yeah. I know that. And that's
how about Izzo? We love Izzo.
Yeah,
but
we do love
Izzo.
Izzo. Well, I got to ask you about Rick, obviously, because, how have you reconciled the revelations about Rick over the years? I mean, how have you come to peace with the idea that, we found out, some things about Rick that aren't so nice?
Well, I think they're separate issues, and people are tending to lump them together. I mean, you only have to be around a lot of athletes for a very short time, and you know that they're not all 100% faithful. I mean, who among us is perfect? So that one, she tried to extort money from him.
Yeah.
And then this latest one, I really think you cannot keep your eye on every second of every assistant. And to me, Rick's problem was he started hiring guys that really weren't the same class. He'd had Ralph Willard, and he had his son Richard, who's doing really well at Minnesota. Mm-hmm. He'd had really solid guys as assistants. Yeah. But, once you start hiring kind of low level, you're going to get low level. So that's where I think he made the mistake.
In your book, you basically say the 4 favorite coaches in your experience. We're going to go down one. We've already talked about Rick. Another coach that you were fond of is the late Jim Valvano. And so tell us about your recollections of Jim Valvano.
He was, as you knew him just as well, probably. I've been on his board for more than 20 years.
Oh.
He was. He could have been, I think, a professional comedian. He had timing. He had wit. I remember when he first got sick, I wrote him a note. Oh, Jim, like everybody, I'm praying for you. You were the best white dancer I ever saw. And he wrote me back. F you. That's like saying I'm the world's tallest dwarf.
Yeah, he was.
He truly had wit, and he majored in English at Rutgers. He could quote a Shakespeare sonnet and tell you that comes from number 3. Uh-huh. He was a very, very unusual person, and to take on Tobacco Road and to win a title, he was very unusual. And I used to ride around with him like in some old van, we'd go on that chicken circuit, and he'd be charming to everybody. And then we'd get in the car, and he'd say, "Oh, wasn't that the worst chicken you ever had?"
Yeah, he's
a great guy.
He's missed.